Well, hello everybody, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thank
And
you, Alan. That's wonderful music there. Is that you?
oh no, that's Anthony Ihrig right there, my
Oh,
co-host.
oh
Oh, well,
wow.
thank you very
Yes,
much.
Yeah,
it's
that takes swings. That swings.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks, man.
Mississippi Strut. If I put enough sissies in the Mississippi
Yeah.
Strut, and you can find that on Anthony Ihrig's album. With the
Missing
ghosts,
Ghosts.
missing
Yeah.
ghosts. Thank you,
Missing Ghosts.
and everyone, well, happy Friday! Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. This is the show where we invite different guest artists to revisit old records and talk about them, and enjoy maybe a little happy hour. So it is Friday, thank goodness, and I am here in the Adirondack Mountains today for a remote broadcast for me, away from my home in Minneapolis. And it looks like Alan says, Happy Friday, everybody. Special hello to everyone at Rivermead. That's where I am, Rivermead Farm. So hi, Alan. Everything is good. The mountains are still here, but we wish we could be there with you, too. And Connie, Richfield,
Connie.
Minnesota. All right. Joni, happy Friday. And our friend Chris and Savage. Well, we are so excited to have Ray Bonneville here. And Ray, you are joining us from Lake Ontario or Superior?
No, Lake Superior
In Ontario.
in northern Ontario. I'm just north of Sault Ste. Marie by about a half hour.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
very close to the border. And are you imbibing anything on your Friday? Maybe some water, some of those fresh
Bubbly
Superior
water.
waters.
No, I took a break from alcohol 17 years ago, and I'm still on my break.
All
Excellent.
right.
That
Good for
sounds
you.
good.
Yeah.
And Anthony, what are you enjoying for your
Well,
Friday?
after a little bout with COVID and a lot of things happening in between since I saw you all last, I decided I was going to step it up this week and in honor of our friend Alan, have a little G&T here to
All
celebrate
right. Yes.
Yeah.
the health.
And I'm having brew local to the Adirondacks from let's see, where is this? Lake George? Yep, Lake George. Artist Rock Red Ale. It's quite
Oh,
tasty.
well,
So
cheers.
So cheers
And
to everyone
cheers
out
to
there.
everybody out there. Yeah, let us know where you are. Let us know if you're having a beverage or, this is really a casual program. So we want to hear from you. It's a conversation. I know Ray would love to hear from you. So get your questions queued up for him throughout the episode while we're listening to music or whatever. You can just type those right into the real-time comments, and we'll try to get to all the questions.
That's right. And we're really excited to revisit one of my favorite Ray Bonneville records. And Ray's been on our list for a long time of artists we wanted to have on the show, so we're glad it worked out. And I can't wait to dig into the music. But before we do, Ray, I know you have a lot of fans here, but maybe for folks who aren't as familiar with your music, you could give. You've lived a lot of lives in your life, doing a lot of different things, but maybe you could give a brief bio of like where you grew up and how you came into doing music to set up this record, maybe.
Well, I was born and raised in Canada, in French Canada, speaking French, and then one day our parents, there was 9 kids, and our parents told us we were moving to the Boston area, and so we had like one summer to learn English, or a little bit of English, enough to start the 8th grade for me, and I wound up, that's where I wound up starting to play piano and guitar, and I don't play piano much anymore, but I started playing guitar there, and I played in a band, and we had a little high school band. We played fraternity houses in New England, including Burlington.
Nice.
Yeah, and I started recording after a close call. I was a bush pilot for 2 years in Quebec in 89 and 90, and I had a pretty close call in 90, a very close call. And I hung it up and took an apartment in Montreal and started writing songs. So that was 9 albums ago. I'm working on my 10th now.
Nice.
All right. Well, and so where does Going by Feel land in the album lineup in your discography?
It lands 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th album. I want to say 2008.
Yeah, or maybe
On the-
or 2007 or something, somewhere right around there. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were working together then. You were with Red
Mm-hmm.
House, and I was too.
Yeah. And I think this was your second album on the Red House label, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yeah.
And I remember when I first heard those tracks, I was already familiar with your music, as you said, it was your second album on Red House, and I'd heard you before that at various festivals and whatnot. But I remember the president of Red House, Eric Peltonimi, coming into my office to be like, have you heard these new tracks from Ray? They're so good. And he was all excited, and it grabbed all of us right away. So I can't wait to talk about this record because it's going to be a nice trip down memory lane for me as well. So the first song that you picked from this record to feature on today's show is Sabine River. Is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
Well, I was driving around. I'm sure I was going to and from a gig, and I was cutting through southern Oklahoma and northern Texas, and I came across the Sabine River, and I knew I was going to write a song about it, and I didn't know how to pronounce Sabine or Sabine or what, so I went to a little shop close to the river, and I said, "How do you pronounce this?" And she goes, "Well, it depends which side of the river you're on." So I call it Sabine River. That's the most common. But it was a beautiful river, and it goes really far. It goes in all kinds of places. I'd love to know what's at the bottom of it.
Well, we're going to see what's at the bottom of this song at any rate right now. And let's take a listen.
All right, this is Ray Bonneville, Sabine River, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
She was leaned against the wall by an uptown market stall. She had the fire soul in her eyes. You could tell she was alone, and it seemed a hard road. Yeah, she knew something about falling dominoes. Long gasoline on the road to New Orleans. The Santa Fe cuts the low sun on its way to Houston. Last calls fade away and gone, and the Sabine River flows on. She was staying in the French Quarter over by Esplanade. Said she'd come down from up north after going around back and forth, looking for love, not knowing what it was she said. It's no surprise I was telling myself lies. Long gasoline on the road to New Orleans. The Santa Fe cuts the low down sun on its way to Houston. The last calls fade away and gone, and the Sabine River flows on. On her bureau, she said, "That's my brother. We were very close. Lost his life being reckless the way young men do. Never stood a chance. Thought it was bulletproof. Low gasoline the road to New Orleans. The Santa Fe cuts the low sun on its way to Houston. Last calls fade away and gone, and the Sabine River flows on. Low gasoline on the road to New Orleans. Santa Fe cuts the low down sun on its way to Houston. Last calls fade away and gone, and the Sabine River flows on.
Oh, yeah. Ray Bonneville here on the back catalog listening party with Sabine River from his 2007 album Goin' By Feel, which we're revisiting today with Ray, joining us from the shores of Lake Superior. And that song, Sabine River, I have to say, I felt my blood pressure dropping a few points during that.
It
felt,
really had that.
has an
It was
easy
rolling,
feel.
man. Like I was going down the river with those guitars, like the delay or whatever. It was just kind of this steady movement. It was, yeah, me too. Really
And I
good
have to
stuff.
say also for that chorus, running low on gasoline on the way to New Orleans, I was thinking, I was like, I would not feel so zen about that. But I have to say, I got caught up in this, like, yeah, whatever will happen, will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. New Orleans means a lot to me because I lived there for 6.5 years in the 80s. And so when I started writing Sabine River, I had no idea I was going to. The character is gone to New Orleans or has been there recently and is thinking about somebody there,
As one does, yeah.
Like one does, yeah.
And also, I was just thinking, with that cover that we were seeing when we were listening to the song, I'm guessing, I think is that an old gas station or a shop?
It's what it is a gas pump cemetery.
Ha!
Oh wow.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking, I wouldn't want to rely on that place to fill up my tank. That's
No,
all.
I forget the photographer's name came down from I want to say St. Louis or somewhere, and we went around. This was in Carter when I lived in Carter, Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
Yeah, and if you open up the cover, you see the more of the gas pump cemetery there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool, and I feel like it sets the stage for all kinds of gritty stories that we get in this album. Joe said a little bit of Tony Joe White feel on this album to good effect. Ever share the stage together? Also asked about J.J. Cale.
No, but Tony Joe White was an influence of mine for sure. He, the guy he wrote Rainy Night in Georgia, and his most famous thing is Polk Saddle Danny, of course, but I never got to play with him or share the stage with him, but he was one of my heroes. In fact, he played down the street from me in Austin, and I was out on tour. I was really, really sad to missed it, and he passed away like not very long afterwards. He played at Sam's Town Point, which is a great honky tonk near where I live.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
what about J.J. Cale?
Well, J.J. Cale I have done shows with, and I really like the man. He's a very, very self-effacing guy. He plays the show in the clothes that he rode in on the bus, wearing the same clothes. He doesn't have a guitar tech. He's very shy, and he's just a nice guy. And I wish I had known him better. But
Yeah.
but he was another influence of mine, among many.
Yeah. So when you were starting to play music, in high school and stuff, what were you listening to?
I was listening to Dream Baby by Roy Orbison
Nice.
Yeah.
and Hello Mary Lou by Ricky Nelson, and Elvis Presley, and then of course after the Beatles came along, I was enamored with the Kinks and Manfred Mann and the Zombies, and that kind of grittier stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear that. Well, I can hear both of those influences on your music because, especially on Sabine River, because, your voice has a lovely kind of, smoother tone on that tune. But then, and we're going to hear it even more in some of the other songs. You have this more like gritty approach to guitar playing, that percussive sort of style.
Mm-hmm.
Adds a little attitude.
Yeah, the guitar thing is that style. I developed it for 20 years before I ever wrote a song. I played everywhere that I could get into for years and years, 20 years. I'd like to know how many gigs that was, but it was over 10,000 hours, I'm pretty sure. And that style was sitting there when I started writing songs in 1991 or something.
And since we're not watching you play on this broadcast, and there's of course lots of videos of you out there playing, maybe you could describe for maybe a non-guitar player like what that style kind of means.
Well, I was playing in a band in Colorado called the Bluebirds, and I was just a harmonica player in that band, and this guitar player, Kelly McNish, he was playing like Mississippi John Hurt and Book of White and a bunch of older country blues. I was playing harmonica, and I would look over at him and I would say, man, if I played guitar, but I played guitar with a pick. And I'd look over at him during the gig and I'd say to myself, if I could learn how to do that, I wouldn't need this guy.
That's true. It sounds like a couple instruments at once, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so I play thumb and index finger only. And it's evolved over the years, and now it's become this thing that it's brushing and picking and thumping, and I don't know if I had to explain it. I'm not sure I'd be able to, but
yeah.
I mean, I have a guitar here. I mean, if you want me.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I was just gonna say that having seen you perform live many times, often I've seen you play solo, and yeah, you do have the band. You have the foot, the board for the foot stomping, you have the harmonica, and you have this really percussive yet still melodic guitar style that I think, in fact, Tony and I were demonstrating this, and I think it's going to happen throughout the show, that I've been in audiences where everyone is, because you have such a strong groove to your music, that everyone is bopping their head at exactly the same time. And I'm sure you've seen it from stage, but it's kind of amazing. It's like they're all in the Ray Bonneville groove, and I think we were feeling it. So.
Well,
Absolutely.
when I see them bopping their heads or tapping their feet or swinging their feet, I know I'm not bombing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Connecting on a rhythmic level is underrated, I think.
Well, it's an attitude of hypnotism. Like you hypnotize their inner groove, and then they're receptive to the story that rides on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I definitely want to hear some more of this album because we have 5 tracks that we're hoping to get to all of them today, and I think we can. This next track, Crow John, is this? Am I remembering right? Is this the first track on the record? It's right near the top. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Crow John.
Well, Crow John, I play it out every time I play. Usually, I like playing it, and people come up to me and say, what they think that's about, or they ask me what it's about, and I used to explain how I wrote it, or how I came to write it. I wrote it in Arkansas, I remember, but it means so many things. It's kind of a dark song. But the way that I actually came to write it is that I was visiting Gurf Morlix, who also has a camp here in Canada on Lake Huron in Honey Harbor. And I was visiting him, and he said, Ray, man, he goes, I heard a crow getting killed the other day by some other crows. And I went, wow, man, really? I said, you saw this? He goes, oh, no, I didn't see it. I said, well, how do you know then? He goes, oh, man, you should have heard it. It was like, a very intense thing. So I knew I was going to write a song about it. And then in the car on the way from there, I I started to come up with all these scenarios of bird adultery, that would cause murder, or the theft of food and stuff. And none of that was working. So in the end, I just asked the crow, what you done, Crow John, to get yourself in such hot water.
Very cool. Yeah, crows are just amazingly smart birds
Oh,
too. So I wouldn't put adultery past them.
I love crows, and I see them out my window all the time. And there was one the other day that was in a tree, and I heard this sound, and it wasn't a caw, caw thing. It was more like a different kind of thing. And I said, what kind of bird is that? And I went around the corner, and I looked out, and it was a big fat crow making this other sound. And I don't know what he was trying to tell his gang or what, or his murder.
Maybe he was trying to tell you that he wants a song written about him.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, John gets all the credit.
Or I want to tell my side of the story. Anyway.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to giving this a spin. This is Ray Bonneville, Crow John here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Shadows on the road across the silver tracks. A murder of crows along the desolate flat. On their feathers, the blood of Crow John. One of their brothers, something gone wrong. Crow John, what you done? What you done, Crow John? Desperate echoes through the rising fog. Murder of crows, vigilant alone. Did they catch you stranded? Nowhere to hide. Your cries unanswered till the end of time. Crow John, what you done? What you done, Crow John? Into the coming storm, they raggedly fly. A dozen or more against the darkening sky. A murder of jokers with laughing eyes. They killed Crow John for who knows why. John, what you done? What you done, Crow John? Crow John, what you done? What you done, Crow John?
A crow of murder of crows, indeed. Crow John from Ray Bonneville's 2007 album Going by Feel, which we are revisiting today on the back catalog listening party with Ray joining us. And if you just joined the party, this is the show where we revisit old records with some of our favorite artists and talk about the songs. So if you have comments, questions, thoughts, tell us where you're tuned in from and be a part of the conversation. And I just want to say, listening again to these songs, and I own this CD, and it's one of my favorite driving CDs, but it's been a minute since I've really just listened without doing anything else, and it sounds fantastic. And I just want to make sure folks know that they can get. Do you still have physical copies of this record, Ray?
I do, yeah, I do, and you got them right here.
All right. So you can help clear out Ray's cabin, and he can maybe put a little signature on that. If you can buy them on his website. Also, of course, all of his albums there as well. And Ray, I know you have a couple new singles out too. So you are just busy. I know you're touring and putting out new music. And so I don't know if you're getting to that cabin and watching the crows as much as you were this time 2 years ago. But
Yeah. I've got a couple of singles out, and I'm going to put another one out probably in mid-November, and then release the album. Most of the songs are in the can. I've got 7 or 8 in the can, and I've got a couple more to record, and then we'll put out an album. But that's the great Gurf Morlick's playing guitar on that track, and the great Rick Richards playing drums.
I was going to ask who was playing the drums.
Yeah, and I think Gurf is playing the bass too. I love playing with those guys. They just you hear how sparse Gurf is playing there. Mm-hmm. It's funny. Like, he played that track, and I was going, yeah, that's pretty good. What else are you gonna? When are you gonna what are you gonna play on this? He goes, that was it, man. That's what I'm playing on it.
Yeah, it's the space, right, between
space.
beautiful
space.
Well,
Beautiful space.
I think that's what makes someone like Gurf so great. I mean, as a player and a producer, is that him understanding songs and and also artists, because he's worked obviously with such artists like Lucinda Williams and Mary Gauthier and such a wide range of artists, but he seems to understand what different artists bring to the table and can really. This sounds like a Ray Bonneville record. Some producers and players kind of make it just sound like all their stuff, and I feel like this is Ray Bonneville record. There's no doubting it.
Yeah. I've started producing a bit too, and really the best philosophy is let me help you make your record. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be my sound. I want it to be your sound. Mm-hmm. And Gurf understands that.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to touch on something you mentioned for both these songs. You're driving by the Sabine River, and you're like, I'm writing a song about that. Gurf talks about the crows beating up poor John, and I'm going to write a song about that. I'm just curious about, it sounds like maybe you're always thinking about writing and always thinking about songs. With everything, you're kind of cataloging this kind of stuff. And you mentioned you started writing in the early '90s, like actually putting pen to paper. So I'm just kind of curious of your process. You seem like you're very prolific and you're doing this. Are you one of those songwriters that sits down every day at 9 and inspiration's there, or do you kind of wait for these stories to come to you? What's your process for the lyrical side of things?
It's very, very willy-nilly. I don't sit down at any given time. I just let it, something triggers it. Like I'm either, I might be reading a book, or I might be talking to somebody. I might be watching a film. I might hear myself say something in a conversation, and I've got to go and write it down somewhere. These days it's probably most likely in my phone. And, because if I don't, I will not remember it 5 minutes later. So, or even 1 minute later. I just start looking for the story. I'm attracted to people who live on the edge of society. I'm just, I don't know. I don't really have a method.
Are you an avid reader? Do you read a lot of fiction?
I read like crazy all the time. If I don't have a book going, I'm not happy.
So that maybe were some of that I kind of looking for the story, like
Oh
what's
yeah,
the story behind it?
that's right. I've taken two words off a page and written a different story out of context from it, and I do that. I do that a lot. I find a couple of words and they trigger something, and I start to pry it open, and some come fast and some come slow. And the first single that I just released, called "On the Blind Side," it took me 2 years to write it, even though it's only 16 lines, because it's about my ability to finally see on my blind side, or on my emotional shadow, what's been making me tick, vis-a-vis relationships and stuff like that. It took me 2 years to write, but it allowed me to see clearly what's been happening in the back burner of my head.
Very cool. That's a common theme, huh, Ellen? Of
I
like
was
you
just
write
gonna
the
say
song to get it out. I mean, to see what you need
Well,
to
and
see.
how songs can be more prescient than you realize. That the songs sometimes are telling you something that maybe your waking consciousness didn't even
Yeah,
realize,
that's
and then
right.
and,
Yeah.
and then you write the song that you need almost to
Yeah,
hear.
Yeah.
it's a very mysterious thing. If you don't sit down, like some writers do. Like, I remember Eliza Gilderson was telling me about her father, who would get up in the morning, get with his briefcase, and go to work, and he was going to write songs, and he wanted his wife to think that he had a job, so he was going to work every day, and he wrote some beautiful
Yeah,
songs.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny. No matter how people approach writing, it is a common theme we found on Back Catalog with songwriters, that often the songs are telling them something about
Yeah.
themselves they didn't even realize.
Wanting to
Sort
get
of
out.
therapy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like to say that, when people say, are you in these songs, or are you in that song? I go, well, yeah, initially there's some part of me in that song, but then, and I write the truth until I realize that the truth is very hard to rhyme. So then that's where the fiction comes in.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right.
That's a good
Well,
quote right there. The truth
Yeah,
is
it
hard to
is.
rhyme.
I know. Okay, I'm writing it down right
Yep.
now. All the
Okay.
songwriters
All right,
out there.
songwriters, get your notebooks out.
Yeah,
Sounds like a chorus right there.
I've got a song going called that.
Oh, good. Okay, well then
right.
we'll
right,
wait
we'll
to
wait
hear
for
that
that.
one.
Yeah. And speaking of hearing Ray's songs one more time, I'll just mention he does have some new singles out. We like to dive into the old stuff because there's not enough venues for that. But he's got some great new stuff, and you can hear it all at raybonneville.com.
And when you're there, you can also check out his tour schedule. And some of our Midwest compatriots who are joining us today on the show will be excited to know that he is on September 14th, Madison, and then Milwaukee, and then St. Paul at the Landmark Center, which is it's like playing, well, it looks like a castle. So you can go to a castle and hear Ray Bonneville play these great songs on September 16th. And that'll be a lot of fun. So you can find out all the details at raybonneville.com, and you can check out his very cool guitar playing style and get in that Ray Bonneville groove. Be hypnotized,
Get hypnotized.
by Ray.
Yep.
But
Can I
let's.
say something?
Yeah.
I have a blog too on my website.
Oh.
I've started writing stories that are nonfiction. They have to do with my past, and it's called Looking for Minnows, and it's on my website, so people can go read those stories. I'm having a lot of fun with prose.
Nice.
Oh, excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting tie-in then to the reading too, right? You're a writer. It sounds like.
I'm just doing whatever. I'm just doing what I need to do.
That sounds good. And folks can check that out at raybonneville.com. We're going to try and squeeze in a few more tunes before the end of today's show. And this is Shy Star from your album Going by Feel. Is there anything you want to say about it before we?
Well, Shy Star, I was making this record, and I wanted another song, and I started searching through my composition books, my writing books, and I found this song completely written. It was, it had three verses and a chorus, and it was it was written, and I just found a little groove for it and brought it to the studio and recorded it like the next day.
Its time had come.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of like about my sister Lucy comes to mind when I think about this song, because she was really shy at the time, and I wanted her to display her talent and her wonderfulness. So anyway.
Beautiful. All right, well, let's give it a listen. This is Ray Bonneville, Shy Star, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Shy star, I can hardly see you in the blue darkness. Come on out if you're willing to on this night, yes. I am one of your many friends waiting for you to show your brightness, your true self, truly. Shy star, won't you come out tonight? Come on out right now. Shy star, we are waiting. We are all waiting. You might think that you have no influence, oh, but you do. Yes, it's so. I am telling you, do whatever it is you must to burn through. Make it so there can be trust in you. Shy star, won't you come out tonight? Come on out right now. Shy star, we are waiting. We are all waiting. Me, I'm just another speck in the universe, made out of nothing more than dust and these few words. Aren't you turning up your heat so all can witness your beauty, intensity, and your willingness? Shy star, won't you come out tonight? Come on out right now. Shy star, we are waiting. We are all waiting. Shy star, won't you come out tonight? Come on out right now. Shy star, we are waiting. We are all waiting. We are all waiting.
Ray Bonneville with Shy Star, and from his album Going By Feel, which we're revisiting today on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And I have to say, earlier you were mentioning about being interested in writing about the people on the fringes, and often we think of that as like people have unusual paths and might have unusual work or not be working, or those kinds of forgotten people. But listening to that song in that context just made me think sometimes it's just that person who's right next to you who's just not saying much.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
just quiet. They might seem perfectly normal and lovely, but that it's just a reminder everyone has their own little struggles or big
Absolutely.
struggles.
Yeah, struggles. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Joni had a lovely comment saying it was an honor. It's been an honor to hear you talk about music she's enjoyed for years, and the lyrical storytelling so engaging. She's asked if being multilingual affects how you write, and do you write any songs in French?
Yeah, I do. I've got a new one called Savant, D'où vient ce vent, which means where does that wind come from? And there's a song called Blonde of Mine, which is a bilingual song that's on 2 albums, different versions. And there's another song that might even be on this. No, it's not on this record. It's called Slow Matin, which is also bilingual, on which Jonelle Mosser sings harmony with me. And on the last track there, Shy Star, that's Eliza singing with me.
I was just actually, I wrote a note in my notebook during that. I was like, Eliza, question mark?
Yeah, it's Eliza. You can hear her style there. You can hear it. She's great.
So, you mentioned kind of starting, you were speaking English in 8th grade. Is that when you started?
Yeah, and one of the reasons I think in retrospect that I didn't write until I was in my early 40s, I wrote my first song in my early 40s, is that, having, French being my mother tongue, I think I might have needed all that time to assimilate the nuance of the English language, enough to be able to attempt, poetic verse.
Are your notebooks in French or English?
My notebooks, they're in English now.
Okay.
But I still do math in French.
Interesting.
No, that is really interesting. It's funny you talked about being hesitant to write much in English until you felt like you had mastered the language. And I was just thinking again about Shy Star, that maybe there was again more of you in that song than you.
Yeah, like it starts off with well, my sister and I are close, so I'm part of her. She's the most like me in the family, and I'm the most like her, and yeah.
Well, I have to just point out how beautifully recorded this album is. It sounds so great, and I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I just have to know where you recorded it, who was sitting behind the console, and how that recording process.
I recorded it in Montreal and in Austin, and the engineer was Rob Heaney. And he was my engineer for Solid Ground, Gust of Wind, and the mixing of Rough Luck. And when I got to Austin, I didn't know what I was going to do. I don't have Rob with me anymore. And one of the first guys I run into is a guy named Justin Douglas, who does my records now, and he was mentored by Rob.
Oh wow!
In Montreal.
Oh, well then, a little serendipity there.
Yeah. Rob said he's passed away a couple of years ago, but we talk about him a lot. He was a very, very good engineer.
It makes a difference. And so for those of you who are just listening on YouTube, we've mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. Get the high resolution files. Go to raybonneville.com. You can get the CD. I think there was a CD download combo. It sounds so good. So not only will you get to enjoy what we're hearing, the full stereo field and all the wonderful nuances of the recording, but you'll also be supporting Ray and letting him know how much you appreciate what he does.
Yes, indeed. And I think we're going to get to all the songs we wanted to get to today. So the next track is Cemetery Road. Is there anything you want to say about this? And I just have to ask before you go in, since you mentioned this about a few different songs, I hope no one from the cemetery came up to you and told you to write this song.
Well,
from the dead.
Well, I think I went by Cemetery Road and I wrote it down, or I had it in mind. And I was in a little motel somewhere in the Midwest, and I wrote that song fairly quickly. And, it was about this girl who's walking in the cemetery where her dad is. And made me think of my dad, with whom I didn't get along really. We were at odds a lot. And, I said to myself, well, when he goes, I'm not going to feel much. And, and he got sick and he was going to go. And I thought that. And then when he passed away, I was wrong. I had a lot of conflicting emotions about him and my relationship with him. And so I think I got to know this. I think I got to know a little bit more about me and my dad through this woman that I wrote this song about. Just another person living on somewhere on the edge of society, or I don't know. That's what comes to mind when I think about this song.
Excellent. All right, well, let's give it a listen. This is Ray Bonneville, Cemetery Road, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Over there on Cemetery Road, she went walking. She went walking, the sun gone low. It was getting dark, yeah. Sun gone low, it was getting darker. She went walking a little bit further on Cemetery Road. Tell me, Papa, why is it so? You never said you loved me. All those years I wanna know, I never heard it from you. All those years, ain't that something? And now you got me out here wondering, out here walking on Cemetery Road, on Cemetery Road. Cemetery Road. What were you like a long time ago when you were young, Daddy? So many things I'll never know, now you're gone. It gets me where it don't show. I keep my tears down below, unless I'm walking on Cemetery Road, on Cemetery Road. However many years I have left in my life, I'll be your child, I'll let you rest, and I won't hide. No, I won't hide from being your child, but in your heart you must have cried. Seen me walking on Cemetery Road, on Cemetery Road. Cemetery Road.
Cemetery Road from Ray Bonneville's 2007 album Going by Feel, which we have been revisiting today on the show. And if you like what you hear, not only can you buy the record on his website, but we also have a tip jar going. You can throw something in at PayPal. You can send that there and throw something in his tip jar because he's hitting the road again and he's going to need to fuel up that tank and unload those CDs.
That's right.
So he can come down, visit us in Minnesota. And yeah, what a great song. And on that song, I was thinking it's always a little hard to tell because when it's more stripped down, I can never tell if it really on a recording, Ray, if it's just you or if you have how many other folks are on that. So was that just you or was there someone else?
I think that's just me on guitar and Jeff Arsenault on drums. He's playing a very subtle drum part on that. And I think it's just the two of us and playing a melody maker guitar with P90s in it, which gives it that, the P90s, they have that full-bodied sound with that silver on top. And that's all the only pickups I play, and unless I'm playing an acoustic guitar. But yeah, I remember recording that song in Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fantastic, and it's been so fun to revisit these songs with you. Yeah. And if folks have any last-minute questions, we're going to have one more song, but we want to make sure that you have any chance to ask Ray what you want to ask him, because these are great, really great vignettes. And I think of a lot of your songs, especially on this record, but I mean, really across your catalog as little short stories. I mean, and that's kind of the way you talk about them as sort of different characters and different scenarios. And
they're little vignettes, little plays.
Yeah. So when you're putting together a record like this, are you kind of stitching together like which ones you think will fit together, or are these just the ones that you happen to have that speak to you at that time?
Yeah, these are the ones that I write for a record. Not always, but when I bring them all together, I go, yeah, okay, this can be a record, and then I try and record a little bit more than I need because invariably one song doesn't fit in the family, so it goes to the next one. And, I try to write these songs in a way that I leave out the detail for the listener to put in, whether that be subconsciously or consciously, because I don't write them for me. I want the song to be the listener's song. And so if they put their own details in, then it's their song,
Yeah. And it sounds like Joni was just saying that that song definitely feels present after the last couple of years, after folks losing so many people. So yeah, it's definitely. I think we all feel ourselves in that song in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for your question, Joni. It's really nice to meet you. I guess we're.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. It's hanging out together, and I will say that Tony and I have not only gotten to reconnect and meet new songwriters through doing the show, but it's also the folks out there listening that we've gotten to be friends with through doing the show and who are regulars to the party, like Joni and Connie. So we're happy to have all of you here joining us. Let's get to this last song because I'm so glad, because this is one of my favorites, and I know when it came out, it got a lot of airplay and was a big song on folk and Americana radio. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the song, unless you want to talk about it afterwards.
Well, I can talk about it before and after if you like that. I mean, after Katrina, I was watching the news and I keep staying in contact with my friends in New Orleans, and I realized that New Orleans was basically being left on its own and to fend for itself, to rebuild itself. There was even talk about not rebuilding, and I went down there and I went to the lower Ninth Ward, and it was 5 or 6 abandoned houses, and then maybe one house that was being reconstructed. Anyway, I thought that the city would like to speak to the world about itself. So I gave it a voice in this song. It's called I Am the Big Easy. And really, I just closed my eyes and those images came across my field of vision because having lived there for 6 years, I knew all of those images intimately. So it's called I'm the Big Easy.
I Am the Big Easy, Ray Bonneville here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I was born on the edge of the big muddy floor. My daddy was French, my mother Creole. I'm slow and heavy underneath the sun, but I'm more than willing when the night time comes. I'm a well-known street, I'm a march and drum, I'm a dancer, a preacher, a sophisticated bum. I'm a wild chaptooler, a dice-rolling judge. I'm a barker trying to fool you into a late-night club. I am the Big Easy, being hit by a stone, brought to my knees, have mercy, Lord. I got soul, I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. I'm a crawfish boil, a funeral parade. I'm a little boy listening to the music play. I'm an old man dancing to the second line beat. I'm a young girl trying to catch a Mardi Gras beat. I'm a shotgun house, an uptown street car, a big wheel steamer by a full loaded barge. I'm a blues band, a politician, a shoeshine man. I'm a famous musician. I am the Big Easy. I've been hit by a stone, brought to my knees, crying mercy, Lord. I got soul, I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. Levee broke and the water came in. I heard a lot of folks call it dead, but you'd be mistaken if you thought me done. I am the Big Easy, I'm the only one. All my children and all their kin, they go on living like they always been. No matter what happens, won't you count me out? They call me Orleans, I'm the heart of the South. I am the Big Easy, I've been hit by a stone, brought to my knees, crying, have mercy, Lord. But I got soul, and I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. I am the Big Easy, been hit by a stone, brought to my knees, have mercy, Lord. I got soul, and I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. I am the Big Easy.
Oh, some great harmonica on that too. I am the Big Easy, Ray Bonneville here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And one of the things I love so much about the song, aside from how visual, and anyone who's been to New Orleans can see what you're talking about, even if they don't know every reference. But when what I also love is the cadence of the song. That there's when you say like blues band, like that you don't just not everything is in the same meter. And I'm just curious, did you play around with those words quite a bit to have it feel just right?
I remember singing it a couple of times in Montreal. I was, you know, I doubt if I can speak to how I was phrasing or why, or I just, I was just singing the song.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
it really captures something special, I think. And Chris mentioned great story songs. Other writers I love are Dylan, John Prine, and Ray Wiley. And I feel like you have that same storytelling ability, Ray. I mean, of course, but yet your own unique sound and guitar style, which makes these songs so special. So we're so
Thank you.
grateful that you joined us today. This has been so much fun.
I had a ball. I had
Yeah.
really a great time hanging out with you guys. And
This went
I,
fast.
I haven't heard these songs, these recordings probably since then.
Yeah, that you are not alone in that. I think most musicians don't really listen to their
Yeah.
own records, and so it's a treat to kind of go down memory lane. And
Yeah,
certainly for us.
it's been enough time gone by that I can listen to it as music and objectively.
As music.
Yeah.
Well, it was what I needed this week. As I say, a lot of weeks, this music is it's got a way of putting things in perspective. And,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Ellen, for having me on the program.
Oh, this is so
thank
great.
you.
And we want to thank all of you out there for listening.
Yeah.
If you like what you hear, again, you can go to raybonneville.com, check out the new singles, get this record. You can also check out those tour dates again for those of you who are around the Twin Cities, September 16th at Landmark Center. And you can get your tickets there. It's always fun. There's a little cocktail hour ahead of time. It's again, a great time. And then thank you, Donna. And it is fun to revisit these old albums. And if you enjoyed the show, give it the thumbs up on YouTube and direct your friends and your bots so that Ray Bonneville, the bots will send you to
Yes.
Ray Bonneville more
Yes.
often, and which is a good thing. And also you can subscribe to our YouTube channel because we do this every Friday at 4 p.m. Central. We have different guest artists, not with Ray every week, sadly, but with other wonderful songwriters. And so you can find out who's coming up next. And we want to thank our Patreon supporters. These are the folks that keep the show running, have been keeping it running since March of 2020.
Yeah.
So, wow, these are our champions, and we couldn't do it without these folks. Penny, Anna, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, and John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Court, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead, Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Craig, Jake, Mary, Mini Tracks, and Nikki, and maybe you. If you want to support the show and you get invites to cool after parties, online concerts, other cool stuff, you can sign up there. But mainly, just thank you for joining us. This
Yeah,
is what it's all about.
Really
Hanging out.
is. Yeah, I know. It's it's a conversation that we can have together about something we all care about, and it always puts me just in the right place, in the right time.
And I have to say, it's special to talk to you, Ray, on this kicking off a holiday weekend. You're up at your cabin. I'm at my family farm in the Adirondack Mountains. And I think we're all just grateful to be here and to kick off the
Yeah.
weekend in this way. And your
Yeah.
songs brought down, like I said, brought down my blood pressure a bit. So
Well, good.
I'm in the right state to enjoy the weekend.
Well, I'm still in the hypnotic groove trance here. I want to go
Exactly.
get some drums out or something after this. It was so much fun. Thanks so much, Ray.
Thank you, Anthony.
This was
Thank you very
great,
much.
and thanks to everybody. I hope you enjoy your long, if you're in the States anyways, a long Labor Day weekend. And we hope to see you back here next week on the Back Catalog Listening Party. So until then,
Cheers.
cheers.
Bye, Ellen. Bye, folks.
Bye.
Nice to see you. Bye-bye.